I'm William, and today we explore one of the most chilling and enduring legends to come out of ancient Egypt, the curse of the Pharaohs. It is said that anyone who dares disturb the tombs of Egypt's kings will be struck by mysterious illness, misfortune, or even death. But is this tale rooted in history, or has it grown from myth, coincidence, and a touch of modern imagination? The most famous spark for this legend came with the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb in the Valley of the Kings, when Howard Carter and his team uncovered the young pharaoh's resting place. The world was enthralled. Yet shortly after, stories began to spread. One of Carter's patrons, Lord Carnarvon, died suddenly of blood poisoning, and rumors of a curse began to grip the public. Newspapers of the time eagerly fanned the flames, reporting every untimely death connected, however loosely, to the tomb. From that moment on, the idea of a deadly mummy's curse entered popular imagination. But the true story is even more fascinating. Ancient Egyptians did, in fact, inscribe warnings near some tombs. A handful of Old Kingdom and Middle Kingdom burials bear threats against those who might desecrate the dead, warning that violators would be devoured by crocodiles or struck down by the gods. These inscriptions, however, were rare and more symbolic than literal, meant to deter grave robbers rather than summon supernatural retribution. So why did the curse legend take such firm root in modern times? Part of the answer lies in the Western fascination with Egypt in the 19th and 20th centuries. Archaeology was new, exotic discoveries filled the press, and the world was captivated by the idea that ancient powers might still linger. Tutankhamun's tomb, sealed for over 3,000 years, was the perfect stage for this drama. Every illness or accident among those involved in the excavation was woven into a narrative of divine vengeance. Yet historians point out that most of Carter's team lived long and healthy lives. Carter himself survived another 17 years after the discovery. Statistically, no unusual pattern of death occurred. Could it be that the curse was not supernatural, but psychological? Fear, suggestion, and the power of belief can create real symptoms. For those who believed in the curse, even ordinary misfortune could feel like proof of ancient wrath. And there may be another layer. Some scientists suggest that ancient tombs, sealed for millennia, might have harbored dangerous bacteria or toxic mold spores. Entering such an environment could indeed make explorers ill. This would explain sudden sickness without invoking divine punishment, though it doesn't account for every story. Still, the legend endured, reinforced by Hollywood films and adventure novels. The image of the vengeful mummy became a staple of popular culture, ensuring that the curse lived on long after the original events. And here's where history and myth begin to blur. The Egyptians themselves believed deeply in the power of words, magic, and protection. By carving even symbolic threats into stone, they may have unwittingly planted the seeds of a story that would grow far beyond their time. But the secrets behind this legend might surprise you. Because while the mummy's curse may not be literally true, it reflects a very real and powerful truth about Egypt's ancient culture. Their obsession with death, the afterlife, and the sanctity of the tomb. To disturb a burial was not simply theft, it was an assault on the eternal journey of the soul. In that sense, to violate a pharaoh's rest was indeed to invite disaster, whether in this world or the next. And so the question lingers: was the curse of the pharaohs simply an invention of sensational journalism? Or does it hold echoes of something deeper, a cultural force that continues to influence us even today? For when we look closer, the so-called curse tells us more about the living than the dead. The hysteria that followed Tutankhamun's tomb reflected a modern world projecting its fears onto an ancient civilization. At a time when science and superstition coexisted uneasily, the idea of an ancient malediction served both as warning and as entertainment. It played into a fascination with the exotic, the forbidden, and the unknown. Still, there is something undeniably powerful about the notion. Imagine entering a pitch-black tomb, untouched for 3,000 years, and finding yourself face to face with treasures, mummies, and sacred texts carved with words no one has spoken for millennia. Even without a literal curse, the atmosphere alone would weigh heavily. Could it be that the curse was less about divine punishment and more about the awe such places inspired? Interestingly, the Egyptians themselves might have agreed. They believed that words carved in stone carried magic. To speak or read them was to awaken their power. Protective spells written around tomb entrances were not idle decoration. They were real defenses, at least in the minds of those who inscribed them. Whether the punishment was delivered by gods or simply by fear in the hearts of the intruders, the effect was the same. The tomb was protected. The secrets behind this legend might surprise you. Even today, stories of cursed artifacts continue to surface whenever Egyptian relics appear in museums or auctions. A broken statue topples, an accident occurs, and suddenly whispers of the curse return. It shows how deeply this idea has embedded itself in our collective imagination. And it raises an intriguing point. Perhaps the curse is not a threat from the ancient world, but a mirror of our own enduring respect and fear of what Egypt left behind. And yet, the evidence is clear. The curse of the Pharaohs, as popularly imagined, is more fiction than fact. The deaths tied to Tutankhamun's discovery were coincidences, magnified by eager journalists and a captivated public. The so-called curses inscribed on ancient tombs were rare, symbolic warnings, not spells of vengeance, and any genuine dangers likely came from bacteria, toxins, or human psychology, not vengeful gods. But that doesn't make the legend meaningless. In fact, its persistence shows just how powerful Egypt's aura remains. The pharaohs built monuments to be eternal, and in a way, their legacy continues to shape the stories we tell. Even now, more than 4,000 years later, the idea that their tombs are guarded by invisible forces still compels us to pause, to wonder, to hesitate before dismissing it outright. Perhaps that is the true curse, not death, but fascination. A legend so strong it refuses to fade, even when stripped of its mystery. A story that ensures the pharaohs are never forgotten, their tombs never truly silent, their presence never entirely gone. And so we return to the question, fact or fiction? The answer lies somewhere in between. There was no magic bolt of death waiting in the Valley of the Kings, but there was a magic of another kind, born from fear, respect, and belief, that still haunts us today. In that sense, the curse of the pharaohs remains as real as ever, not as an ancient spell, but as an immortal story carved into human imagination for all time.